They called it anger. They said I was bitter, broken, consumed. But they were wrong. This was never anger. Anger is a spark, a quick flare that burns out, leaving nothing but ash. What I felt was not a momentary fire. It was a slow, steady inferno that didn't destroy me. It built me. When they left me bleeding, they laughed as if I would never stand again. They thought the pain would bury me. Thought betrayal would break me into pieces too sharp to ever put back together. But they didn't understand. Pieces cut deeper than whole things ever could. And broken men, when they rise, do not rise the same. You called me angry. You whispered it in rooms where I wasn't welcome anymore. You told the world, he's bitter, he's lost, he can't let go. But the truth is, I let go the moment you cut me loose. I let go of who I was, of who you thought I would always remain. And in that letting go, I found something heavier, sharper, colder. This isn't about rage. This isn't about screaming into the night, begging for justice, clawing for apologies that never arrive. This isn't about wanting you back or wanting revenge. This is about ascension, the transformation that only betrayal can buy, the kind of rise that only silence can afford. Betrayal is a strange teacher. At first, it feels like poison coursing through your veins. Every breath hurts. Every memory tastes like ash. But then the body adjusts. The soul learns. And the poison you thought would kill me became the medicine that cured me. You thought betrayal ended me, but it forged me. You thought silence meant betrayal doesn't strike like lightning. It drips like venom. Slow, burning, invisible until it consumes you from the inside. It doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the hands you once trusted, from the mouths you once kissed, from the arms you once called safe. And that's why it cuts deeper than any blade. You thought you could bury me with silence. You thought the knife you drove between my ribs would end me. But the truth is, you didn't kill me. You carved the shape of who I was meant to become. Betrayal is not an ending. It's a beginning, painted in blood. It strips you of illusions, burns away the softness, erases every weakness. It leaves you raw, wounded, hollow. And in that hollow space, something new begins to breathe. At first, the venom crawls. It makes you doubt every word, every face, every memory. You question yourself. Was I blind? Was I foolish? Was I never enough? You replay the laughter, the lies, the empty promises that tasted like honey, but carried the aftertaste of poison. And each replay feels like another wound. But slowly, the poison changes. The body hardens. The heart turns from flesh to iron. The soul grows sharp edges it never had before. And the venom that once threatened to kill you becomes the very fuel that drives your resurrection. You thought betrayal would bury me. Instead, it buried the version of me that still needed you. The one that begged. The one that trusted blindly. The one that believed love was enough. That man is gone. What stands here now is forged in your fire, tempered in your venom, carved out of your lies. So tell the world I'm angry. Tell them I'm bitter. Tell them I'm broken. But understand this. Every silence, that's where the real transformation begins. Not in the shouting, not in the chaos, not in the endless questions that eat you alive, but in the stillness that comes when the noise finally dies. At first, silence feels like death. The phone doesn't ring. The people don't come back. The world doesn't notice your collapse. And you lie there listening to nothing but the echo of your own heartbeat, wondering if this is what it means to be forgotten. But silence is not absence. It is presence. A presence that reshapes you. In silence, you meet the raw version of yourself. No masks, no distractions, no false comforts. Just you, the weight of your pain, and the choice to rise or rot. And so I chose to rise. Night after night, I went to war with myself. I picked up iron, not just to lift, but to carry the weight of betrayal out of my bones. I bled in silence. I sweated in shadows. Every rep, every scar, every bruise became scripture written on my body. Proof that I was still alive, still evolving, still becoming. The world thought I disappeared, but the truth is, I was building. Brick by brick, scar by scar, in a place no one could see. They thought my silence was defeat, but silence was the forge where my crown was shaped. Because silence doesn't just heal, it hardens. It teaches you to hold fire without screaming, to carry wounds without showing, to rise without announcing. And when you come back from silence, you don't come back the same. You come back unshaken. You come back untouchable. You come back with a presence so heavy, it doesn't need noise to be felt. They thought my silence meant weakness, but silence was my furnace. And in that furnace, I burned away the man who needed them and stepped out as the man who would never need anyone again. Fire. It was always inside me, but betrayal gave it shape. Silence gave it oxygen, and now it burns in ways no one can control. At first, the fire raged wild. It wanted destruction. It wanted revenge. It wanted to scream until the world collapsed under its heat. But rage is a child, uncontrollable, messy, short-lived. So I learned to master the fire, to turn it inward, to let it forge me instead of consume me. Every drop of sweat became gasoline. Every scar became a spark. Every night I dragged myself into the shadows to lift, to grind, to bleed. The fire grew sharper, more precise. I wasn't just training muscles. I was training will. I was shaping iron where once there was only flesh. The gym became my temple. The pain became my prayer. And the mirror became my witness. Watching a man shed his skin. Watching a ghost turn into a weapon. I cut away the old self, piece by piece. I buried him in the flames. The soft boy who trusted, the fragile man who begged, the dreamer who believed love was enough. I burned them all. And what emerged from that fire was not anger anymore. It was rebirth. Because fire does two things. It destroys what cannot endure, and it refines what was always meant to last. You thought I would collapse under the weight you left me with, but I learned to carry it until it carried me. You thought I would drown in the flames, but I walked through fire and made it my armor. This isn't rage anymore. This is transformation. This is the beginning of a new order, written in ash and forged in silence. And when I step out of the fire, I am not yours. I am not broken. I am not angry. I am untouchable. Rise. Not loud. Not frantic. Not desperate. But steady. Like the slow pull of the tide. Like the silent growth of mountains. I didn't announce my return. I didn't beg for applause. I didn't need anyone to say, "Look at him now." Because true rising doesn't ask to be noticed. It forces the world to feel your presence without a word. When I walked back into the rooms that once mocked me, silence followed. The same mouths that laughed now struggled to find words. The same eyes that overlooked me now refused to make contact. Because they knew. They knew the man who left broken was not the one who had returned. I didn't come back seeking revenge. I didn't come back to prove anyone wrong. I came back because Ascension leaves you no choice. When you rise, you rise. No permission, no approval, no recognition required. They used to say, "You'll never be enough." But when I stood before them again, I was too much for them to even comprehend. Not because I shouted, not because I demanded, but because I carried silence like a crown. And silence has a weight that crushes the unworthy. You thought I'd return begging. You thought I'd crawl back, asking for scraps, asking for forgiveness, asking for you. But you miscalculated. I didn't rise for peace. I didn't rise for your acceptance. I rose for the throne built out of everything you tried to bury me with. I don't stand here as a man seeking closure. I stand here as proof. Proof that betrayal breeds kings. Proof that silence is stronger than screams. Proof that nothing you did could break me. Domination. Not the kind that screams for attention. Not the kind that needs validation, but the kind that radiates without effort. The kind that makes the air heavier when you walk into the room. This is beyond anger. Anger is small. Anger burns out. But Ascension is eternal. It doesn't need to rage. It doesn't need to prove. It simply is. When you master yourself, you become untouchable. Not because the world stops striking you, but because nothing it throws can break you anymore. The pain they gave me became my foundation. The silence they forced me into became my fortress. The fire they mocked became my armor. Now I stand, not as a man asking to be heard, but as a presence that cannot be ignored. I don't chase. I don't beg. I don't even fight the way I used to. Because when you ascend, you don't play their game. You become the game. Domination is not about crushing them. It's about standing so tall, so unshaken, that their attempts to hurt you look like whispers against a storm. It's about being so far beyond the reach of their words, their laughter, their betrayal, that they can only watch you rise with fear disguised as silence. You thought I was angry. You thought I was obsessed. You thought I was still chained to what you did. But what you never understood is this. You didn't give me anger. You gave me empire. The blood I shed became scripture. The scars you left became armor. and the silence you forced me into became the throne I sit on now. This is not revenge. This is not anger. This is ascension. And ascension doesn't scream. It reigns. The crown was never handed to me. It was forged. Forged in betrayal. Forged in silence. Forged in fire that was meant to destroy me, but instead defined me. Every scar is a jewel in that crown. Every sleepless night, every unanswered question, every drop of blood, they all sit there, gleaming. Proof that I did not just survive, I ascended. The silence they mistook for weakness became my throne. The absence they thought would erase me became the stage for my return. And now, when I walk, the ground doesn't shake because I'm loud. It shakes because my presence carries the weight of everything I endured. I don't need to shout. I don't need to prove. Because when you wear a crown of silence, the world recognizes it without words. They once asked, "Where did he go?" Now they ask, "How did he become this?" They don't realize the answer is the same. I became this because they left me with nothing but myself. And nothing is stronger than the man who has walked through fire, alone, and risen untouched. You thought I would return broken. You thought I would crawl, beg, kneel. But look closer. The man you tried to bury walks with a crown you will never touch. This isn't anger. This isn't revenge. This is ascension, crowned in silence. And when a man wears a crown forged from betrayal, he does not ask. He does not wait. He does not bow. He reigns. The walk is different now. Not rushed. Not heavy. Not desperate. But steady. Calm. Unshakable. I don't look back. I don't wait for echoes of apologies that will never come. I don't waste my breath on explanations for people who never listened. The past is ashes, and I am fire reborn. Anger was too small for what I've become. Rage was too shallow for the depth of my silence. What I carry now is something greater. Something no one can give and no one can take away. This isn't anger. This isn't revenge. This is ascension. And ascension is not loud. It is undeniable. It does not ask for permission. It does not wait for approval. It does not kneel for recognition. It simply rises and never comes down. So let them talk. Let them whisper about the man they thought they buried. Let them wonder how the broken one became untouchable. Because the truth is simple. You loved the version of me who bled. Now witness the one who doesn't.